Okay, so today we are going to talk about exponents, roots, and real numbers. So we're going to do some simplifying of exponents, talk about how to simplify some square roots and things like that. So just follow along on your own piece of paper. All right, so these directions say write each expression using exponents. So we have 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. We need to simplify that and write it in terms of exponents. So our base number will be the number that's repeated here, which is 5. And then we want to raise that to the power of how many times it's being multiplied. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this would be written as 5 to the 7th power. So the directions aren't asking you to solve. It just wants us to write our expression using exponents. So 5 to the 7th would be the answer to that problem. Okay, the second one, we've got negative 3 times negative 3. There's parentheses around the negative sign, so that means there needs to be parentheses in our answer as well. So my answer this time would be negative 3, and then we count how many times the negative 3 is written. It's written twice, so raised to the second power. Again, it's not asking us to solve or simplify, it's just asking us to rewrite the expression. So negative 3 in parentheses squared would be the answer to this problem. Okay, the next one says find each square root. So number 1, it says the square root of 81. We need to simplify that. You can put these in your calculator, but you're a college algebra student, so you should be able to know this off of the top of your head. So the square root of 81 is 9. Again, if you want to double check and use your calculator for that, it'd be really nice though if you could try it without a calculator first. Okay, number 2, it says the negative square root of 400. So first of all, I want to simplify this first. The square root of 400 is 20. And then this negative sign just needs to be written out in front of my answer. So my answer should be negative 20. Number 3 says the square root of 100 over 121. The square root of 100 over 121. So we need to simplify that. And what I'm going to do is break this into two different square roots. So far that is the exact same thing, just written two different ways. But now we need to simplify the two square roots. The square root of 100 is 10, and the square root of 121 is 11. And then you need to make sure that the fraction is simplified. 10 over 11 is simplified all the way, so that would be the answer. Okay, in the fourth example, we've got the square root of negative 36. So if you would happen to type that into your calculator, like you might be confused at first, so you use the calculator to help you out. It's going to say not defined or cannot simplify or something like that. And that's because of this negative sign here. So you cannot take the square root of a negative number. It's not possible. So we say not real. This would be an example of an imaginary number, which we're not talking about yet, but we will later on in the school year. All right, and then the last part of the notes is simplifying expressions. So this is kind of like order of operations, except some of the problems like number 2 are going to have absolute value bars mixed in there. So we've got to use some prior knowledge. So we've got 10 plus 30 divided by 2 times 3. So we use PEMDAS. There's no parentheses. There's no exponents. Next, we move to multiplication and division. We know we need to do those left to right. So I'm going to do 30 divided by 2 first, and that is 15. Then I'm going to bring down the times 3. Okay, I've got addition and multiplication left. I'm going to multiply next. 15 times 3 is 45. Bring down the plus 10. And now I need to do my addition. 10 plus 45 is 55. So we have simplified number 1. Okay, number 2, it says 6 times the absolute value of 4 minus 5 minus 24 divided by 3. Okay, so first thing we look for is parentheses. We don't have parentheses here, but we do have absolute value bars which act the same. So I want to simplify the absolute value bars first. So I need to do 4 minus 5. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. I'm going to keep it inside the absolute value bars. Now I need to simplify the absolute value of negative 1. Remember, absolute value is distance. Distance can never be negative. So the absolute value of negative 1 is positive 1. Since this 6 was written out front, that means it's multiplication, so the 1 needs to go inside parentheses. Okay, I've got multiplication, subtraction, and division left. So I'm going to multiply next. 6 times 1 is 6. Bring down everything else. Now I've got subtraction and division. Division would be the next. 24 divided by 3 is 8. And then my last step, 6 minus 8, would be negative 2. It's totally fine to have negative answers. That is a real number. So positive, negative, 0, just because you get a negative number doesn't mean you did it wrong. Okay, and then your homework for this week will be posted on Google Classroom.